Hello my friends, welcome back to This Week in Social Media. This week we're going to talk about an Apple update regarding the Apple story we covered last show. We talk about some of the growth metrics and some of the growth news from YouTube podcasting. We talk about the fact that Meta might be building a brand new data center. We talk about some new updates coming to the YouTube platform. We talk about how in May this year, YouTube is going to be updating how it rolls out mid-roll ads. And we also talk about a new peer study that found that AI, or people's thoughts on AI, is going to take their job specifically. This week I wanted to start the show by talking about a topic that we covered on last week's show, as reported in the BBC, where the Home Office requested that Apple created a backdoor with worries from many security experts that by creating such a door would be just a matter of time until hackers could use it to access any of the encrypted data on iOS devices. Of course, the Home Office would never comment specifically on what they were or were not requesting Apple to do. It came just as we were finishing off last week's show that, quote, Apple pulls data policy tool after the UK government over the security row with the Home Office. As the BBC reported on the 21st of February, quote, Apple is now taking unprecedented steps to remove the highest level of data security tools from customers in the UK after the government demanded access to user data. Now the tech giant has decided to no longer make it possible to activate APD in the UK, which allows the data stored within the iCloud to be fully encrypted, and not even the Apple themselves can actually access this data. So this is I would say probably a loss or a lose situation when it comes to overall security that I think the UK was trying, or the UK government specifically was trying to push forward and kind of force Apple's hand. And there's been a lot of cases in the past where Apple has claimed and said that they are not going to create a backdoor in any circumstances because of the security concerns that they had regarding the fact that it's not always necessarily going to be used by good actors to prevent crime, and it could be used by hackers to create obviously identity theft, blackmail, spyware, etc., in that respect as well. In a statement, Apple said that, quote, it was gravely disappointed that the security feature would no longer be available for British customers. As we have said many times before, we will never build a backdoor or a master key for any of our products, and we never will, it continued. In the same report, the BBC claimed when asked a cybersecurity expert that he's, quote, it's a very disappointing development which has amounted to an act of self-harm by this UK government. All of the UK government has achieved is weaken online security and privacy in the UK based on users, he told the BBC, and adding that they think they should tell the US tech companies what to do globally. With other reports also going into other people's saying that it would be a very worrying step for the UK government to take when it comes to other tech entrepreneurs and other tech influencers and things like that. So larger tech people talking about the fact that this was obviously a overstep in regards to the government as a whole. With Take Radar adding in their reporting that as, quote, as of today, the 21st of February 2025, people in the UK will not be able to use Apple's cloud's advanced service end-to-end encryption protection. We are greatly disappointed in the provision by a APG will not be available for our customers in the UK, and will continue to rise in the data breaches and other terms and other threats to customers' privacy. See, the security has said that the cloud storage with end-to-end encryption is more urgent than ever before, said Apple. And later on in the same report, Apple added, and quote, Apple now ensures that the withdrawing of the advanced data protection features from the UK will not affect its iCloud catalog end-to-end encryption by default, but those users health data, passwords, iCloud messages, Apple Cards transactions and others will be fully listed on the Apple support page. So there is going to be still some fully end-to-end encryption with some of those more sensitive data, but it's mostly for anything that you have stored in iCloud that will no longer be allowed to use end-to-end encryption, such as your images, your voice notes, your music, etc., things like that as well. With all of the companies said, Apple remains committed to offering their users the highest level of security of their personal data, and hopefully it will be able to continue to do so in the future in the UK. Do you think this is a bad step from the UK government to make it, as we shared in the last week's episode? Personally, for me, I think it's a rock and a hard place situation, because on one side you have obviously the best security in the world. I think should be open to those who wish to use it and those who wish to protect their personal data on things like iCloud specifically. Of course, the most sensible, the most secure way of protecting that data is to be in a position where you don't have it connected to the internet at all. However, it does also, on the other side of the argument, mean that the quote-unquote good guys that most people would say, so the police are there to, in most cases, prevent crime, and you could say that this end-to-end encryption, or the ability, for example, to have a master pin that would unlock any iPhone, for example, of course is going to be problematic and would open up a slippery slope, you could say, and I'm sure, is the pain or is the lack of security there, or the options of lack of security there, a worthwhile trade up for those UK customers, or as a whole, to allow the state to look at and spy and gather that energy or that information regarding criminals who are clearly operating and being bad actors in that respect. I think it's a difficult one. Personally, I think we should lean on the side of security as a whole and overarching, because arguably when things go wrong, that's when you're more safe. But I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. However, last week we did also hear reports that YouTube has over 1 billion monthly users, as a drastic growth in podcast listening. YouTube shared last week that, quote, podcasts with video are more than just a trend. They meet the audiences where they are on YouTube. We're specifically developing our podcast product experience to become easier for fans to find podcasts they love, discover new ones, and watch or listen whichever they prefer. We also added more podcasters into our revenue sharing program, the YouTube through the YouTube partner program. Our search and recommendation help people discover their favorite podcasts. Podcasts on YouTube and YouTube Music are also everywhere on apps and wherever the user is going to be. So even on TV, last year, viewers watched over 400 million hours of podcast content monthly on their living room devices. So does this mean that video podcasting is the best time to do it, the best time to jump into it? So no wonder there's so many people, because it does live, it has lived the test of time, right? So is it one of those things where we're going to see continued growth, or is it going to now start plateauing? Are people transitioning away from Spotify perhaps and moving to YouTube, or is YouTube captivating this larger audience pool when it comes to people looking to create their own brand podcasts, or potentially advertise within their own either their own brand podcast, or actually be in a position where you create an ad or a spec read for another creator that has that already established audience. With opportunities, of course, to use AI editors to create a consistent stream of short form content as well. No wonder so many people are looking to use video podcasts now more than ever. But if you don't think you'll personally have a good podcast idea, maybe it would be something to consider for you to use your marketing budget to potentially put a targeted ad into another podcast, or to promote your brand or your products or services, etc. This would be potentially another way to spread awareness without necessarily having the commitment of the ongoing episodes, or creating a brand or creating an audience from that podcast or those conversation based pieces. But that's just what the report, and I would love to hear what you think in the comments section down below on, do you think that video podcasting is going to continue to rise in popularity, or is it going to start plateauing? And is it something that you're potentially considering when it comes to your business as well? I would love to hear what you think in the Summer Zone, and maybe it's something you're already doing and it's something that you're already considering, and have you been seeing it work? Let me know in the comment section. With a lot of conversation at the moment about AI data centers in the news, Meta has in theory confirmed that they're going to be spending an extra $200 billion of investment on a new set of data centers. This comes as only a few weeks after this report that we'll be going over in detail, where there's been a small crash in the overall stock market, especially the tech sector specifically. And there was the question overhead, was it overhyped, and is AI really coming to steal your jobs, or are we just not there yet? There's been a lot of conversation around, when is this going to be this payoff, right? There's been a lot of promises made by the Nvidias of the world and the Microsofts of the world, the ChatGPTs of the world, etc., saying that, are we going to be in a position in the next 20 years where every single job, as we'll allude to later when we talk about the peer study, but a lot of people are saying, where is this massive spike in revenue? Where is this massive jump in AI technology? Is it going to be something that we do see, or is it actually all smoke and mirrors and kind of overhyped and overexcitement? And there was bound to be a level of correction when it came to the stock market, but in general, are companies like Meta potentially putting themselves on a bad foot because they're maybe over-investing in these data centers, maybe over-investing in this technology from companies like Nvidia, for example? But let's go into a little bit more detail on what these early talks have kind of alluded to. And this report does claim that it's pure speculation. However, if the site is going ahead, it's likely to be in a handful of areas. I'll leave them on screen in regard to the early talks. In the same report, we heard that Meta has already confirmed that it's likely to spend $65 billion this year on new data centers in question. So it does question, where are they going to put all this money, or where they're going to build these data centers. But with XAI, OpenAI both also digging deeper into their efforts to win the AI race, is Meta looking to bow out of the water in their own expansion? There is also AI threats from China, such as DeepSeek recently, that we covered in last show about what was going on that and how it's also caused some wriggles or some knock-on effects to the overall market. There is as also we covered in last week's show, there's also now Chinese competitors from Alibaba, Tencent and ByteDance, giants looking to build their own AIs and jump into this wave of interest or hype, you could say, about everyone wants the AI, everyone wants the greatest AI model to continue to help productivity, to continue to do this incredible new stuff that we've never seen before. No, Meta has not confirmed that they're going to necessarily make the investments in the places that they've confirmed, as it's all purely speculation and they're in early talks at the moment. However, there has been reports that it's likely due to the other players in the market putting and building for the best next AI. So they're looking to continue to buy that or buy in or create the infrastructure to allow them to be one of the players in the AI race, so to speak. Quote, Meta says that the Meta AI chatbot now has 700 million monthly users across obviously Meta's platforms. They're able to push to the billions of users on Facebook and billions of users on Instagram specifically. So is that a fair comparison? Is that a fair leg up when companies like ChatGPT, for example, have to get their organic, quote unquote, organic reach in comparison to have it built in? We saw this with Threads as well. So that's something to consider when we look at this data regarding Meta as well. It does have a foothold in most people's daily lives, right? We spend a lot of our time on Meta services, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, etc. We're spending a lot of our time there. Clients potentially are spending quite a lot of money on advertising there. So are we going to be more biased towards the Meta AI service rather than necessarily the OpenAI's or DeepSeek or etc. or whichever is the newest and hottest one there? Or it actually is, and this is kind of opening the larger conversation about whether the whole AI principle and the track record that Nvidia are claiming and others are claiming, is it actually going to happen, or is it all just pipe dreams, and is it all just overhype for, to be honest, Nvidia to sell more over expensive cards that allegedly are really, really good for AI learning and AI building in that respect. But with the research and the understanding I've done for this show, the market, or the general feeling, is when in what X number of years into the AI race are we going to see something that's specifically groundbreaking? Where if you use, and some of the reports have used, if we use the internet as an example, we started having some of the use cases when it came to the internet at this point with AI. So we were at the point where we're 3 to 4 years into AI roughly now from its most adoption, and we started seeing useful use cases for the internet by that point. Maybe not. You could say it's very conversation based and very speculative in that respect. But are you for or are you against AI? Are you using it to continue to increase your productivity and allow you to continue to move things forward? Or are you going the other way? Are you saying, no, we're pushing back and not using AI? What do you think? Do you feel that we just need to keep going to make AI and keep pushing more data and keep putting more hardware into AI to make sure that it's going to be a groundbreaking tech that OpenAI, Meta and etc. have been claiming it's going to be? Or do you think it's just to the level of how powerful it is and actually it's going to start plateauing in coming years to come? I'd love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. We also heard some updates when it came to YouTube as a whole from the Creators Insider team. As always, I'll link the full videos down below, but quick summary. Short text-to-speech has been updated to Android and iOS, so there's a couple new features there, but also it's now come to the Apple Play Store, and there's now 4 voices to choose from, so those using text-to-speech on Shorts, you'll be pleased to know you've got more features there. Also, they're planning to update profile cards on studio mode to give them a similar look and feel to the other changes and updates they are making to the overall studio on mobile and tablet devices. We've also heard that YouTubers they're also going to be testing a new experiment where creators can reply to comments using their voice. They will only share this to some creators in the US to gain feedback before thinking about whether they should roll it out to other creators specifically. The max time for a voice reply will be 30 seconds in this test, and YouTube hopes that it creates, quote, a more meaningful relationship between creators and their audience. They then are planning to add a promote button to the Shorts feed for most creators to help them run a Shorts ad or short as an ad, likely through Google or YouTube placement. They also have been using it to skip the navigational complications of campaign options via Google Ads, with a promoted video likely being shown to, quote, who is likely to engage with the promoted content. So YouTube is going to use all of that data that it gathers from the Shorts being organic and then look to basically expand that to a paid audience, specifically for those who are looking to get some quick wins on content that's doing really well for them. We also heard some more important updates regarding the replace song feature that allows creators to replace songs used within a video without having to re-upload the video, and be able to replace, say, copyrighted songs, for example, within the YouTube editor now having a new AI suggested tab, with them also sharing more information about the hype test they are currently running in Turkey, when YouTubers can pay to use them, as well as getting a few hypes for free per week as well. They will also be launching and sharing more information on new Shorts effects such as sims and roadblocks for those who create Shorts specifically in the YouTube mobile app. So they are kind of effects that you can put on your head, and they feel to me a bit gimmicky, but for those who want to necessarily use them, for those who want to look to use them, then of course you can. With the final episode also talking about and sharing some more updates coming to, quote, manage paid hypes on Studio Mobile for Android users in Brazil, end quote, with also updates coming to our online gambling policies as of March 19th, 2025, as they, quote, are wanting to strengthen our existing policies to relate to online gambling, with them confirming they, quote, don't allow any method of directing viewers to gambling sites, applications, that are not credited by Google. Now, this policy will also include URLs, links embedded into images and text, visual displays including logos, verbal descriptions, and content promoting the guaranteed returns may be removed regardless of whether the online content site or application has been approved or by Google or not. Content that does not violate the community guidelines but still features depictions and promotion of online casino sites or apps may be age restricted. This means that online gambling content extended to excluding online sports betting and depicts gambling in person will not be viewable to any user that is not signed in or any users with an account that is listed under the age of 18, with them also making updates and importance regarding mid-rolls that we'll be going over in a second if you're more interested in that. But it does seem they're taking a stronger stance when it comes to gambling content online. So that is kind of all of the overarching YouTube updates that we did get that I can share with you. So I'd love to hear what you think of what you are happy about, what you're really liking. Would you use voice notes to reply to comments, for example? Let me know in the comment section down below. And in regards to mid-rolls, this is a separate video that we link down below if you're interested. But as a quick synopsis, within the mid-roll video, they wanted to share what changes were coming to mid-rolls and sharing their understanding of a great way for YouTubers to make more money from their content. Quote, starting in May 12th of this year, we're going to be improving the quality of mid-roll ads. They are planning to show more mid-roll ads in natural breakpoints like pauses, scene transitions, and at the same time, they're going to be showing fewer ads that they feel are intrusive or annoying to the viewer. This is most likely due to the fact that they've noticed behavior changes where people are abandoning the video, and that of course isn't what the platform or the creators want as a whole. They then went into a little more detail on two of the types of creators that will likely be using this kind of model and using mid-rolls in general. From what it sounds like, there is a set of creators who use a auto placement in regards to when they run mid ads or mid-roll ads. So they will look to basically just leave it alone, ignore this rest of this video because it only affects those who are manually placing those ads specifically, and they'll just basically use the algorithm and what the algorithm thinks is the best points in the video to add those mid-rolls in. So quote, they believe you should just keep doing what you're doing because it won't really change much specifically. However, for those who add mid-roll ads in themselves or do it in other words do it manually, they will be sharing feedback within YouTube Studio itself, but also sharing that some of the mid-rolls that maybe feel are intrusive, e.g. someone clicking or finding it hard or annoying that ad placement was there, so leaning into maybe moving that ad or leaving the site or leaving the video channel as a whole, which of course is going to have a negative impact on all of those other metrics that we've discussed previously. They claim that it's going to give creators more control, and they'll hopefully allow viewers to be less irritated by the actual ad placement. So the actual positive or the benefit that could come from this change in May is going to be actually the viewer range, or how viewers are going to consume content. It's going to be better and more efficient, and they're going to enjoy the overall watching experience on YouTube more. But also for creators, they have quote seen a 5% increase in revenue for those who have added auto placement ads, but also added some manual ones as well, because it allows the YouTube system to find what it believes is the best breakpoints in your video to apply or put in the ads, then move on to be talking about what you should do if you don't have mid-rolls at the moment. They're not planning to change anything, so they're not just going to remove any controls or put in a position where you're going to be forced to put in mid-rolls if you don't want to necessarily. They then were asked if they're quote taking controls away from creators. They claimed no, of course not. We are purely just giving you more features to help you optimize and give you more options when it comes to your ad placements, and giving you more data to understand how your ads are performing and how you can, I guess, in some ways squeeze more or look to maybe generate more revenue if you're a creator, but also, as I said, develop a better watching experience when it comes to the overarching YouTube ecosystem. And as YouTube is trying to push less ads, etc., those creators who feel it's necessary to put ads every few minutes within their videos, they have personally found that viewers find this annoying, and I would also personally find this annoying in my view. And they've said that the results they've found is actually they're more irritated spots in regards to where the ads are, but also that the revenue has actually dropped as a whole, right? So it's likely that you will see a drop in revenue as YouTube is planning to serve less ads as a whole. So it's that constant balance between how does a site, a service, create revenue for its creators and itself to survive, but also how does it not irritate its viewers or irritate people who are there to consume content that they enjoy, right? And I think again it comes back to, and we talked about this a lot when I spoke to clients about like how addy and how product salesy, and when I do social media marketing and when I do marketing for clients, a lot of the time we're thinking about how do you indirectly sell or indirectly showcase how amazing you are without necessarily, or what percentage of posts or what percentage of content are we going to have very product led or very service led. And I think for me it's about having that balance, because there's a lot of conversation about celebrities when they're constantly in ads and they're constantly there, that they're diluting their brand. And it's this constant handshake between short-term generation of cash flow, because every business has to create cash flow to be able to survive, but how much and how many and what opportunities you do take could be done sparingly if you don't need the cash flow necessarily there and then you can build for the long term and building a more sustainable and more trusted brand that couldn't be, or is less likely to be, labeled a quote sellout in that respect as. But that is just personally what I think. Do you find ads on Facebook especially, but also ads on YouTube in this case, annoying, especially mid-roll ones? Would you personally click away and abandon a video if it had too many ads in it? I would love to hear what you think in the comment section down below. We also heard some new data when it comes to how US adults feel about, quote, how workers feel about their potential impact of AI. The Pew Research study spoke to 5,395 US adults to find how they felt the potential impact of AI and whether using AI tools in their day-to-day activities, with most feeling that they were very worried about the impact of AI. Quote, as you can see in this overview, 52% of those within the study said that they were concerned about the future of AI impacting their use in the workplace, and in addition 32% believed that AI would lead to fewer job opportunities in the future. Big businesses are constantly looking for ways that they can replace the human labor with AI tools, including now the US government. However, it has been said that they are complementary and they can be used, and they're not to necessarily be thought as a replacement for a human who obviously has a lot more skill and a lot more depth of knowledge, you could argue, at this moment anyway. And I would personally say that AIs are a tool that can allow a human to do a better, more efficient job at whatever they're doing. And I think in some cases, an element of that job will be replaced by AI, but I don't think the overarching job, if you're actually creating infinite value or lots of value for a client or a customer or, you know, your business that you work for, is necessarily going to be replaced by AI. Now, the skepticals are going to say, sure, yes, they actually are, because, you know, they're more efficient, they're cheaper, etc. And I remember talking and listening to a podcast about a 5-star hotel that still employed doormen. Right? If you ask their finance team, where would you like to make cuts? Well, if we cut the doorman, then that salary doesn't need to get paid anymore. But actually, the question and the point that was made is a similar one to what I said in the last story about the longevity of the business and how the customer feels when they go to that hotel, right? The reason why a doorman is important is because they're in a position where they can have that personal touch. They can have that, oh, hello, sir, how are you? Calling a taxi, opening the door. You feel like a superstar, right? You feel like someone really important as a customer. But to have an automatic door, it's just, well, you have a door opened, right? You don't feel, it doesn't change how you feel. You just feel like, oh, the customer or the hotel is being efficient, right? And I think it's a similar way. I think what we'll find is AI will, like a lot of tech, it will replace some jobs, right? A lot of this study said that people who are on lower incomes are overly worried about AI, right? And I think, unfortunately, they should be to an extent, and that should be they should look at their skill gaps, and they should look to see how they can make themselves irreplaceable in regards to the skill set and the understanding of what they're doing. But I think for me, it's one of those things where we've seen it before with technology, right? Where as technology becomes better and better and better, when the printing press was invented, those who were doing it manually, in 95% of cases, lost their job. In the same way, when computers and the internet happened, right, a load of people lost their jobs. But actually, it did also create a load of other jobs, right? So I think the job market as a whole, just in my view, will shift, will analyze, will change. There will be always opportunities if you're willing to upskill, you're willing to work towards them. And instead of seeing AI as an enemy, instead of seeing AI as a tool that's here, and I know there's a side of it which is like it's going to become sentient and then it's going to see us as completely irrelevant and we're all going to die, and that is for now at least science fiction still. But there is of course that concern. Excluding that concern, a lot of AI can be used to allow you to be more efficient, to allow you to do deeper research, and allow you to create better content, idealize better content, analyze data better. There's 1,000 use cases of how AI can be used at its current state. And again, as everyone will say related to AI, this is the worst it's going to be. It will learn, it will get better. The question, which is the skeptic side of it, is it going to continue to get better exponentially, right? Or is it going to now start slowing down and end up plateauing? But that's just my thought specifically. Leaning back a little bit to the study, it was just 6% of people who believed that the workforce, just 6% of people believed that the workforce, that AI would lead to more job opportunities in the long run, with 32% believing that it would lead to fewer job opportunities, whilst 31% believed that it wouldn't make any difference at all. With, as I said, the lower income workers being very worried about the knock-on effect, or the ones who are more likely to be the most affected in this AI wave, specifically with, quote, workers aged 18 to 29 are also more likely to use AI chatbots at work, whilst those with a higher educational level are more likely to use the chatbots in their processes as well. The report also questions some key concerns. Quote, tools like ChatGPT can give answers, but cannot replace an understanding and experience, which could lead to more people being able to get the right results, but not as necessarily knowing why and how to improve and refine those results specifically. So again, it's the grunt work. It's doing the things when it comes to telling the output for the human to then do something with, right? It can say, this bit of data or this thing is better for your ad set, for example, but then you have to take that critically and think, okay, cool, what does that actually mean for the buying journey? What does that actually mean for the client? What does that actually mean for the customer who is looking for the thing that you're helping sell? Right, which is our job as marketers. We're helping people be more educated and more informed on the product or the service that we're trying to help sell for ourselves or our client. I guess over time, the whole question of AI will personally just come, and again, as I said earlier, it will most likely replace, and there will be a percentage of the market that will always not use AI, right? The problem, I think, will come when it comes to the money that they can be made, right? So I think you'll find, and I think what's going to happen is we'll be in a position where those who are against AI, yes, they'll still have jobs, but they'll be on a part-time salary or a part-time wage, having to work 80 to 100 hours a week because they're having to compete with people who are using AI, who are leveraging these new tech tools to allow them to be more efficient, right? And only you know if that's something that you want to do and that's something that your morals allow you to do. But that is everything that we're going to be sharing in this week's content. So if you did enjoy and you'd like to see more like it, then make sure to be subscribed to the channel. I'd love to hear what you think about the AI conversations or anything else I covered in this show. So thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you next week with a brand new episode of This Week in Social Media. And coming to the channel very, very soon is going to be some live coverage from the photo and video show that I'm going to be going to in 2 days' time at the time of filming. So thank you ever so much for coming back and joining me once again, and I'll see you very, very soon.